Number 3. Nancy Hoggert. In 2008, Nancy Hoggert was living in Mason County, Washington. She made her money by selling marijuana that she grew. One day, she came across a Bigfoot eating the buds off her plants. Initially, she wanted to run because she was afraid of him. But she decided to stand her ground because that crop was her livelihood. So she pointed her shotgun at the Bigfoot. The Bigfoot put his hands in the air. Then Nancy looked down and saw Bigfoot's genitals. It was clear that he was sexually aroused. Nancy said it had been a while since she had sex, and she was impressed with Bigfoot's penis. Nancy said that she's not sure what happened next, but it turned into an adult movie. She said she didn't know who started it, but he ended up having sex with her from behind. Nancy said she and Bigfoot kept seeing each other. Eventually, they fell deeply in love. Nancy said that Bigfoot, who she calls John, brings her flowers and mushrooms. When they stargaze, he holds her. Nancy said the major downside to the relationship is that John can't speak English. He can sort of say her name, but it's garbled. Another major downside is that he lives deep in the woods, and it takes 3 hours to travel to him. But Nancy said that she had a plan. She was going to get pregnant, and they would settle down together. Nancy was 52 when she went public with her story, so her age may add complications to their plans. Nancy said she would never introduce John to the world. She said government scientists will just take and dissect him or try to turn him into a soldier to fight ISIS or something. You know how the government is. When she was asked why she went public with the relationship, she gave a bluntly honest answer. She said that since marijuana was legalized in Washington state, she had lost her main source of income. She said she wanted to capitalize on John's fame for money. However, since Nancy Hoggert went public with her story in 2015, she has not publicly discussed her alleged love affair with Bigfoot. Number 2. Amanda Large Teague. In early 2010, Amanda Large lived in Drogheda, which is a town on the east coast of Ireland. In terms of religious beliefs, Amanda was agnostic. But then, in 2010, Amanda suffered a terrible tragedy. Her 3-month-old son, Thomas, died of sudden infant death syndrome. After that, Amanda decided to figure out what she believed. Eventually, she became a witch and a spiritual teacher. In 2014, Amanda was meditating and a spirit came to her. She had never encountered the spirit or worked with him before. She told him to leave because she thought it was rude to interrupt her solitude. The spirit left, but he didn't stay away. The third time the spirit visited her, Amanda spoke with him. She asked who he was and what he wanted. The spirit said his name was Jack Teague. He said he was a Haitian pirate executed in the 1700s for being a thief on the high seas. Amanda thought that Jack Teague looked a lot like Captain Jack Sparrow, who was portrayed by Johnny Depp in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Amanda believed that Jack Teague was the inspiration for Jack Sparrow. Amanda and Jack Teague continued to communicate. As they talked, Amanda fell in love with Jack. But their relationship did not get physical, and it wasn't because Jack didn't have a physical body. It is because Amanda is demisexual. According to WebMD, demisexual people only feel sexually attracted to someone when they have an emotional bond with the person. So after 2 years of communicating, Jack suggested that they get married, and Amanda agreed. But they had one major problem. They needed verbal consent from Jack. Amanda was not allowed to speak for him. So they got a medium who could connect with Jack. The wedding happened on international waters off the coast of Ireland in July 2016. A candle was used to represent Jack. When it came time to exchange rings, Amanda put a ring on the candle. Unfortunately, there were problems with the marriage. 2 years after being wed, Amanda's health declined. She realized that having sex with Jack was making her ill. When they had sex, it would draw a lot of energy out of her. She was sick for 3 weeks, and then she ended up being taken to the hospital where she had surgery. In May 2018, she developed sepsis and nearly died. Amanda asked Jack to leave her, but he refused. He told her that he would kill her if she tried to escape. Nevertheless, in December 2018, a self-proclaimed shaman performed a soul extraction. He was able to free Amanda from Jack. After the soul extraction, Amanda's health improved. She never saw or heard from Jack Teague, the 300-year-old pirate ghost, ever again. Today, Amanda wants people to know the consequences of having a relationship with a spirit. It was last reported that Amanda was dating a living person. Number 1. Elizabeth Klarer. Elizabeth Klarer was born in Mooi River, South Africa in July 1910. She had a love story that shocked the world. For decades, she claimed she had been contacted by aliens. Elizabeth said her otherworldly encounters began when she was just 7 years old. She and her older sister were outside feeding some puppies. Suddenly, in the sky, she saw a silver disc with a strange glow. Then a sphere appeared in the sky. The sphere was orange-red with craters on it. As the sphere flew, it left a trail behind it. It appeared that the silver disc flew after the sphere. Elizabeth's family lived on a farm. A few months after that initial sighting, Elizabeth was with the farm manager, a man named Latham. She once again saw a UFO. Latham didn't see it, but he believed that she saw something from Zulu mythology. In 1954, when Elizabeth was 34, she learned that people had been seeing a mythical bird called a lightning bird near a rural hill outside of Johannesburg. Elizabeth went to the hill and she encountered a UFO again. It lowered itself and hovered about 10 feet from the ground. Elizabeth tried to approach it, but was emitting too much heat. But there was a porthole, and she saw one of the occupants. She also claimed she started having telepathic communications with a being on the ship who identified himself as Akon. Akon said he was from a planet called Maton, which is in Alpha Centauri, a star system that's about 4.367 light years from Earth. Akon told Elizabeth that he was a crew member and a scientist. Then the UFO flew off. Elizabeth went back to the hill several times, hoping to encounter the UFO again. 18 months later, on April 7, 1956, she was at the hill and the UFO returned. This time, she was able to board the ship. She met Akon and his second pilot. The second pilot was a botanist and astrophysicist. Elizabeth later described the aliens as looking like humans, but better looking and taller. She also said they are more considerate and gentler than humans. She never got the sense that they were aggressive or violent. The ship that they were on was only a scout ship. They traveled up to the mothership, which is about 5 miles long. Inside the mothership were cities, parks, trees, flowers, and lakes. Akon told Elizabeth that his people were originally from Venus, but they had to leave the planet because it became inhospitable. Elizabeth was then returned to Earth. Over the next several months, Elizabeth would return to the hill and meet with Akon. Akon gave her a ring that increased her telepathic ability. Elizabeth said that romantic feelings began to develop between her and Akon. During one of their meetings, they kissed. Akon then revealed to Elizabeth that she was actually a reincarnated Venusian. Akon said they had been lovers on Venus and they were soulmates. In April 1958, Elizabeth and Akon became engaged. Then, they had sex. Elizabeth discovered that she was pregnant. She decided to leave Earth to be with Akon. On the mothership, they traveled to Matan. That's when she discovered that it was one of 7 planets that they had colonized. On Matan, Elizabeth gave birth to a son named Ailing. But there was a problem. Matan's planetary vibrations affected Elizabeth's heart. So she had no choice but to return to Earth. Her son, Ailing, stayed on Matan to be educated. But Ailing and Akon traveled to Earth and would visit Elizabeth. Elizabeth Klarer died from breast cancer in 1994 at the age of 83. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. If you did find it interesting, please make sure you subscribe. We'll have a new video about the paranormal every week. If you just discovered this channel, please make sure you check out our other channel, Criminally Listed. We have over 325 videos featuring bizarre but true crime stories. You can find it at youtube.com/criminallylisted. We also have a podcast about cold cases that were eventually solved called Criminally Listed Presents Into the Killing. You can find it on Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you find great podcasts. But that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.